Jasmine Crockett is a rising star in the Democratic Party, and she's hit the media again with more vicious attacks against Trump in the way that only she can. So I've pulled a few of the best clips so we can analyze them and provide the needed context. Hey you! Yes, you! Did you know we have memberships for as low as $3 a month? You can help the channel grow, reach new heights, and help protect democracy. And you get a long list of exclusive perks, from members-only polls to getting my videos early. The link is always in the description of every video. If you want, go ahead and check that out, and thank you guys.
One of the important points that I do want to make about NABJ and the fact that Donald Trump had to sit down for an actual interview, for actual journalism, this is what is so threatening for him. This is why in Project 2025, they don't want independent journalism, which is one of those things that we value in a democracy, is the freedom of press. And it's something that they are trying to make sure that we can turn back the hands of time on. This is why he loves a person like Putin, because Putin controls the propaganda. And that's what he's gotten out of Fox News. I thought that Fox News would decide that they would go back and want to do the right thing after they got sued for millions and had to pay up. But listen, so long as people are tuning in, they're making that money back again, and they continue to pretend to be, I call them faux news, right? Like they pretend to be actual journalists, but they're not.
And this is truly step one of fascism, of authoritarianism. You create this doubt and mistrust in institutions and in media so that you and only you can control the narrative, and then you suppress the voice of the free press. And Trump has a long history of doing that, from gag orders on social media companies, the arrest of journalists and his administration, silencing voices in the media or press who displease him, attacking media stations and social media companies that are not favorable to him, saying that they shouldn't exist, calling them fake news, labeling this and that, when supporting Fox, by the way, which has lost the largest defamation lawsuit in American history for lying, and he'll support them. So it shows, again, he only wants to create doubt in institutions that aren't favorable of him, and his base just eats this up. They're not even able to comprehend that they're being walked like a baby into fascism. The test for this is to just ask MAGA, like the cult members, questions about what fascism is without calling it fascism, and watch how quick they'll agree. Hey, if Trump claimed fraud in the 2024 election, would you trust a government investigation? Would you trust the DOJ and the courts? Would you trust investigations carried out and reported on by the media? But would you trust Trump and Trump alone under what he said? They'll answer no to all of the first ones and yes to trusting Trump. And boom, that's someone who wants to anoint a king. That's someone who wants authoritarianism and fascism. That's exactly what that is. And it's creating this brain rot where, because they don't realize that, they just think that they're voting against big tech and big media, when in reality, they're just voting against their own interests.
Honestly, the only time that Donald Trump seems to be challenged is when there is a black woman on the other side, whether we're talking about Letitia James, or we're talking about Fani Willis, or we're talking about the vice president who will become the president, or we're talking about those black women journalists, such as Rachel, that decided that they were going to say, no, sir, and follow up and try to get answers. It's what we actually needed in the last debate. And if he does decide that he's going to come out from his scary little corner and debate the vice president, I do hope whoever ends up being the moderators, that they learn a thing or two and go back to what journalism looks like, and they hold his feet to the fire.
And that's another wonderful point. This is the landscape that Trump has created. Because of it, the fascist landscape, in sowing doubts about the media and institution. Anytime someone treats him with actual journalistic integrity, he just pretends they're being unfair to him, and his base again just eats it up. When what's unfair about questioning him about his own words? What's unfair about questioning him about his own actions, asking follow-ups to those questions, not allowing him to lie, utilizing the facts? And again, his base just eats it up when he says, nope, fake news. They say, oh, well, he'll take the hard questions with the journalists who treat him unfairly and the media is all against him. When, first off, that is hilarious. Like, that literally makes me die laughing when people say the media is against Trump. The media grades Trump on a curve that they do not do to any other politician, and they normalize his outrageous behavior for him. The media attacked Biden for months for mentally declining, or weeks, I guess, after the debate, after stumbling in it. But where was that coverage when Trump said that the American Revolution was won by controlling the airports, when he said that magnets don't work in water, when he rambles about electrocuting sharks, when he was on stage lying over 30 times in the debate, rambling about golf. Where was the media coverage on him? It was imbalanced, and it was imbalanced in his favor. Kind of crazy if they're against him, right? Politicians' entire careers get ended by an affair. They get ended by the media reporting on these things. However, where was that kind of coverage with his affair? It was normalized in media for him. His rape suit was normalized in media for him. It's silly to think that the media is against him when they literally created him, because he gives them the clicks and the views. They protect him in a way they don't protect anyone else, because they report on his actions and his words, and it clearly comes off bad because he's saying crazy things that they're against him. Yeah. Oh, okay. We all buy that one. And second, now he's not answering these tough questions. Like when he gets asked these tough questions, like by the NABJ, he just says, "Oh, fake news," and goes into personal attacks. So what kind of respect are we supposed to give him? He deserves respect for dodging questions.
The reality is that these are people that are not qualified for the positions in which they're running for. And it is a threat when you are a Donald Trump who just happened to be born with a silver spoon in his mouth, who never worked for anything a day in his life. And when he did start working, it was always trying to perpetrate a fraud. That's what we saw him do with his businesses, whether we're talking about real estate or if we're talking about his fake universities. It's always been a fraud. And right now he's trying to perpetrate a fraud on the American people, not once, but for a second time. And we rejected it the second time. And I'm looking forward to him being rejected again when a black woman shows him that her black job, her next black job, is being the president of the United States.
Trump never worked in public service before. He had literally no qualifications to be president, and it showed in the disaster of his first term, appointing to his cabinet people who went on to be felons and frauds. And he even said, oh, the deep state tricked me. No, he literally did more deep state bullshit than any Democrat that he could point at, never living up to any of the promises he made. He lied more than the politicians who he says, they lie because they're politicians. I'm not a politician. So, okay, buddy, where's the wall? Where's the 6% economic growth? Where is the Obamacare replacement? That's going to be beautiful. Where's that? Where is the infrastructure that he promised week after week? Instead, what we got is him sending us over $7 trillion into debt, losing us jobs for the first time in 60 years, not outperforming the economy that he was given, which, by the way, is like the main indicator of the economic strength of a president, is if you can outperform not only just your predecessor, but the two economies before you. And he never once outperformed Obama in any metric, and then went on to divide the country. So it's like, you weren't qualified then. That term was a disaster. It doesn't qualify you now. But like, we're supposed to support you because you're not a politician, even though you lied, like you say politicians do. Even though you appointed people who did fraud, like you say the deep state does. And then you went on to try to thwart democracy. It's just unfathomable, the things that people on his side will buy into and believe. I don't get it at all. And this is why he was rejected in 2020, because he absolutely fumbled COVID after being a terrible president. Why would we reelect him? Why do people even think that fraud needed to happen? He never outperformed Obama in the economy. He never delivered on the promises that he ran on in 2016. And then he absolutely shit the bed during COVID. What fraud needed to happen? People were done with him. He was twice impeached. He's a liar. He's a terrible candidate and was a worse president. And this is why he'll be rejected twice as hard in 2024.